case your eyesight doesn't reach that far, there's a gentleman there holding up a sign that will let you know when it's 60 seconds and 30 seconds. And he won't block the camera. Ladies and gentlemen, could I have your attention for a moment, please? Well, several moments. I'd like to introduce DementiaHack's chair, Jordan Banks, Managing Director of Facebook. Can we get a round of applause? Is that okay?
Thank you, Todd. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. This is an unbelievable room. Hello, everybody down in the furthest zone. I hope you can hear us. If you at least, there you go. Get some waves. Hear us, not see us. That's all good. A very warm and heartfelt welcome this morning to everybody. We know, folks that organize DementiaHack, that the most valuable currency we all have in today's day and age is time. And so the fact that we have well over 300 people who have decided to spend their entire weekend with us hacking for what ultimately is going to be an unbelievably worthy cause is a great cause for thanks. So thank you very much for your time. It was about 5 months ago this week that a group of us met in a room just off of this main corridor to talk about what a dementia hack of this size and this scope might look like. And we started the meeting by talking about dreaming and walked through a whole series of what ifs. And so the first what if we said is, what if we actually could fill the entire main floor of this George Brown campus? And then we said, imagine if we could reach out to some very key national sponsors who could not only help fund this event so that everybody that experienced it would have a phenomenal time, but would also ensure that whatever the output is from this event would be as commercially viable as quickly and as profoundly as possible. And then we said, what if we were able to get all three levels of Canadian government in partnership with the terrific efforts of the UK government to be involved in this project? And then we said, what if we could reach out to all of the brilliant minds in the dementia community from coast to coast, both individuals and organizations, who could provide us with feedback and commentary to ensure that what we were solving for today were some of the most acute issues that affect dementia patients, their caregivers, and their medical practitioners. And then we said, what if a month in advance of this hackathon, we could put together a Voices from the Field so that every attendee who is here today had the opportunity to become better educated and better informed about what this disease does, the implications it has, and the important solves that hopefully will come out of today. And then we said, what if we could get some of the best and brightest Facebook employees from around the continent to come from New York and Chicago and our headquarters in San Francisco and join us here today? And so fast forward time 5 months hence, and we are here today with all of those boxes checked, which I think is a tremendous accomplishment and really goes, where's Shaharis? Shaharis, who's the organizer, has done a fantastic job over the last 5 months ensuring all of those pieces fit very nicely together to create the puzzle that we are experiencing here today. But, yeah. But there was one final what if that we ended that dreaming session with. We said, what if we created a hackathon unlike any other hackathon that has preceded us? A hackathon that didn't necessarily just focus on the 30 hours of hacking and some bright, shiny objects that sometimes become the focus of traditional hackathons. What if the hackathon itself was just the start of a process where we were able to create commercially viable products and services that fundamentally made the lives of dementia patients, their caregivers, and their doctors better, not in 5 years, not in 10 years, but tomorrow. And so that box still remains unchecked, but we have the utmost confidence that at the end of this hack, leading into our finals Monday night, and afterwards with the support of all of our sponsors, that we are going to produce things out of this hackathon that will change the trajectory of those constituents forever. And so to that end, what I would encourage you to do is take full advantage of the unbelievable talent that exists in this room. We have superstar engineers, we have data engineers, we have designers, we have folks from Baycrest and the Alzheimer's Society. We have tools and other people that are here to make sure that your next 30 hours are as efficient and effective as possible. And if there's something you need that you can't find, track down somebody wearing one of these shirts, and we will make sure that we find it for you. Let me just close by giving you 4 numbers, all of which in their own right are incredibly scary, but collectively are unbelievably scary. And here are the numbers: 45 million, 250 million, 603 billion, and 1%. 45 million people around the world today suffer from some form of dementia. 45 million. 250 million, the number of direct and indirect caregivers that are involved with those patients. 603 billion. The amount of money that was spent in 2014 caring for folks with dementia. And that doesn't include all of the ancillary costs in dealing with the caregivers that are under unbelievably huge amounts of stress. And 1% of the global GDP, 1% of the global GDP is currently being spent on caring for dementia patients. And the real story is those numbers are getting no better, right? They are getting worse, and they are getting worse quickly. So if you are interested in having a fundamentally material impact on one of the biggest ills that affects our society today and will only get worse going forward, you are in the right place today. So thank you again for your time. It's now my pleasure to introduce my good friend Kevin McGurgan. Kevin is the UK Government Consul General and Director General for the UK Trade and Investment here in Toronto. Kevin and his team have been, and I will underline this word, fantastic partners in DementiaHack, and we're unbelievably proud to call them a partner. And we have an unbelievable amount of admiration for the work the UK government has done in creating and implement what really is a world-leading dementia strategy. So Kevin?
Thank you, Jordan. Thank you, hackers, for coming along for the next few days on certainly something that the British government has long recognized as being one of the greatest global challenges that we face. You may ask, why are we involved in this today? Because we were inspired by what HackerNest, Facebook, all our partners are trying to put together, because it matches very much with our own national dementia strategy. We're one of the few countries in the world to actually have a national dementia strategy. And when we go around today, my team and I will be sharing those insights with you as you help develop those products. I'm also, for those of you who came a few weeks back to the briefing session, have a strong personal connection with this, because my grandmother had dementia. And talking to a number of people in this room already, it's very clear that what has made many of you come here has been that personal experience. Whether you have dementia, whether you've been a caregiver for a friend or as part of a family, this is clearly what has inspired so many of you here. And I'll finish on that note, in order to keep the inspirational levels high, with a quote. Not a quote written by a diplomat, but a quote from a recent piece, and some of you will have seen it, of science fiction. But I think it's very applicable to the science fact that you're going to be doing today. Every human being has an instinct to help each other out. If a hiker gets lost in the mountains, people will coordinate a search. If a train crashes, people will line up to give blood. If an earthquake levels a city, people all over the world will send emergency supplies. This is so fundamentally human that it's found in every culture without exception. Some of you will recognize that that comes from Mark Watney, or Matt Damon, in the recent film The Martian. But I think it perfectly captures what you're all about to do today in coming together, doing something human for the betterment of all. Thank you very much indeed.
And now can you please join me in welcoming Amanda Wilson from the Public Health Agency of Canada.
Hi, everyone. So can I just start by saying how excited I am to be here today to represent the Public Health Agency of Canada. In my job at the agency, one of the things I do, I see health-related statistics all the time. But once in a while I see some that make me stop and think, and none more so than the steadily rising rates of dementia. Today, 3 in 4 Canadians know someone affected by the disease. So think about that for a second, 3 in 4. That quite literally means that dementia touches almost every single Canadian in some way. This is a public health challenge that has to be addressed at all levels, across all sectors, and the experience and expertise that we gain in working together towards shared solutions is what we need to tackle the challenge of dementia. That's why I personally am so excited to be here this year. This event will allow us to tackle the issue from a new angle, to work together to find innovative ways to help those that are living with dementia, as well as their families and their caregivers. I've been working in this area specifically for about the last year or so, and a recurring message has stuck with me. Dementia isn't, and it can't be, about the disease itself. It's about the people. It's about the faces and the families. The Public Health Agency doesn't have all the answers, and we shouldn't have all the answers. We have to collaborate through events like this and harness the spirit of innovation across our country. The work that we're doing and the commitment we're making by taking part in this event is to help address the day-to-day challenges that people living with dementia face. So in closing, maybe I'll just note that I, along with members of my team, have been mentors for some of the teams here today. And I'd just like to say that this has been a fantastic experience for all of us. It's been just fantastic. So I really believe that together, we're making a tangible difference. I thank you all for taking part in the event. I thank the other partners and sponsors. And more than anything, I wish everyone the best of luck over the weekend. Good luck. Thanks.
Thanks, Amanda. And now please join me in welcoming Sharon Lee Smith to the stage from the Ontario Ministry of Health and Long-Term Care.
Thank you very much. I am so honored and humbled to be here. I'm not really very good with the computer. I do a little bit of Facebooking and stuff like that, but to see you all out here working and being so tech savvy to help us support improvements in the very serious disease of dementia really, really humbles us, and the Ontario government is very honored to be a sponsor today. I'm really excited to be here, and I wanted to tell you that one of my responsibilities in the government is to develop a provincial dementia strategy. And what we want to do with that strategy is we want it not to just sit on a shelf after we develop it and talk to some people. We want the strategy to be living, breathing, evergreen, something that we are constantly looking at and improving and working with Ontarians. So that is why this day, or a couple of days, looking at hacking and looking at applications is going to be so significant in our strategy. I'm working with my team and parliamentary assistant Indira Naidoo-Harris, who is the member of Provincial Parliament for Halton. We're setting up regional roundtables, and we're talking to Ontarians all across the province about their struggles with dementia, be it caregivers or patients or families, researchers, health professionals. And I want to tell you that yesterday in downtown Toronto, we had a session where we were hearing from Ontarians, and it was very emotional, and it was very fraught with concerns about how we can work, how we need to work together to improve dementia. And I just want to acknowledge people like B, who were at that session and who heard how emotional and how concerned and caring people are to try and improve dementia in this province. So I also want to tell you that we're working with clinicians, advocates, service providers, and people living with dementia and care partners to help us guide our work. I'm also delighted to see Phyllis Fair. I don't know where she is, but she's somewhere around here. Thank you, Phyllis, for being here and for being a part of our advisory group. I'm also very happy that in the dementia working groups we're setting up, Stephen Wellman from Facebook and Shaharis Bey from HackerNest have agreed to join our research group. They're going to bring a very vibrant and creative tech-savvy approach to what we do. I would also like to thank Jordan and the people behind me for supporting this important work. So thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing the results of your hacking. Thank you.
So our next speaker is Aaron Zifkin. He is the country manager of Airbnb, and he also happens to be my first cousin. And we have shared 3 grandparents who have suffered from Alzheimer's together. So when we decided that we were going to do this 5 months ago, and that we needed significant corporate support in order to pull this event off and to ensure the prizes were commensurate with the effort in the next 2 days, I called Aaron and I said, would Airbnb be interested? And in 30 seconds, Aaron turned it around and said, not only would we be interested, but we would be thrilled to be one of your lead sponsors. So ladies and gentlemen, Aaron Zifkin.
So how many of you guys like hearing from sponsors? Not too often. So as Jordan alluded to, I actually don't want to speak as a sponsor today. I want to speak as someone who lost both their grandparents to Alzheimer's and also as a caregiver. The one thing that I will bridge over to Airbnb is that our mission at Airbnb is to truly ensure that everybody, all 7 billion people around the world, can truly feel a sense of belonging. And whenever I think about that mission statement, I always think about one place in my life that was always the place that I could feel like I truly belonged, and that was at my grandparents' place. Whenever I was sick, whenever I was playing, I shouldn't say this at George Bramah, whenever I was playing hooky from school, they would pick me up and bring me to that place, and that place was always a safe haven for me. And that was until my grandfather was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and I'll tell one story which really switched the tables from when he was my caregiver to when I was his caregiver. I remember very vividly at midnight, midweek, I was 16 years old, and my grandfather woke up and he didn't remember the woman that was sleeping in the bed beside him after 52 years of being married to him. This ripped apart myself and our entire family. It wasn't very long after he passed away that my grandmother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and we all felt that sense again of what was to come. But even then, I remember in her worst days, there was always song. She could always remember, she never really remembered names, or sometimes even where she was, but she could recite every single lyric of every tune, and if she didn't remember the lyric, she would make it up and make it seem like she did. What I do remember, though, is that in those moments, it felt really real. We were all connected as a family, and we felt comfortable, and we felt at ease. And so today, as you're thinking about this enormous problem that we're trying to solve, which I truly believe that we can eradicate, I want you guys to all think about the humans that we're going to be impacting and those specific moments that we can have help with. Today is an incredible day. We have 30 hours to hack at these problems, and with the level of talent and inspiration in this room, I think we can make some incredible strides. And so I encourage you guys all today to have a lot of fun, but also to bring your A games, and I can't wait to see what we guys put out. Thanks very much.
So now it really is my distinct pleasure to welcome Phyllis Fair from the Ontario Dementia Advisory Group. In 2012, Phyllis was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's as well as Lewy body dementia. And since then, she's been a very active and loud voice in the community advocating on behalf of all dementia patients. I've had the pleasure of meeting Phyllis before, hearing her speak, and she truly is an unbelievable inspiration. Phyllis.
Good morning. I would first like to tell you a bit about myself. I worked as a registered nurse for 25 years. I used to work in neuro rehab, cardiac care, intensive care, palliative care, and on the sexual assault and domestic violence team. I was introduced to Alzheimer's disease when I was 13 years old, when my grandmother was diagnosed. Then my mother was diagnosed, so I was a caregiver. I was diagnosed roughly 3 years ago, so now I have the lived experience. After being diagnosed and stabilized on medication, I decided I wanted to make change for people living with dementia. How do I do this? I'm a board member on the Ontario Dementia Advisory Group and on the Hamilton, Niagara, Halton, Brant Local Health Integration Network. I have recently been asked to sit on the steering group for the Canadian Dementia Priority Setting Partnership. I also speak on behalf of Alzheimer's Society. These are only a few of the projects that I'm involved in. I would like to thank Sharon Lee, HackerNest founder and CEO. I'd like to thank Jordan Banks, Facebook Canada Managing Director and HackerNest Chair, Kevin McGurgan, Her Majesty Consul General and Director for the UK Trade and Investment in Toronto. All the sponsors in this, and all the sponsors for their support. I'd also like to take a minute to thank all the support staff and volunteers for all the dedication and hard work that they have put together in hosting this event. This event is a venue for change. It is a chance to make change in order to help people live well with this devastating disease. I would also like to thank all the participants who have given of their time, knowledge, and I'm sure some sleep, in order to be here and create their projects. Without people like you, things would not change and lives would not be enhanced. So I can not thank you enough, and in saying this, I feel confident that I am speaking not only for myself, but for all people living with dementia. I would also like to encourage you to continue doing the work you do. You are making a difference. While today is about dementia, we all know that whatever technology is created for one group will benefit other groups, like people living with head injuries, mental illness, and people that are just simply aging. You are making a change, and you are making the world easier to live in for someone who is having difficulty navigating through their life. Thank you once again, and good luck. I wish you could all win, but we know that's not possible. But you are all winners in my book.
And last but certainly not least, master organizer Sharon Lee, who will walk you through the rules and regs of the hackathon. Sharon.
Because I really don't want to make them sit awkwardly up there while I talk, can we have a big hand of applause for our speakers, please? Thank you so much. Hi. So we are all here because we want to help other people. And I think behaving in a way that reflects that is probably a good idea. So we have really simple rules here. Treat people the way that you want to be treated. Sorry, I'm just doing an overview on the hackathon, have some information. First off, really big thank you to George Brown for hosting us. Look at this venue. Look at this beautiful view, which is currently being obstructed by a sign, sorry. Thank you, Amy Machin, for making all this possible. What I'm about to do and what I'm about to list off will sound really disingenuous because it sounds like I'm reading a list, because I am reading a list. But please don't think of this as name dropping, but think of this as people who actually give a damn. Facebook and Jordan Banks, our DementiaHack chair, have contributed ridiculous amounts to make this event possible and to make this the degree of awesome that it will be. the UK government, the Public Health Agency of Canada, the Ontario Ministry of Health and Long-Term Care, and recently the City of Toronto have supported this event. We have 4 governments supporting DementiaHack. Now for the disingenuous part, which really is not. Thank you so much to our platinum sponsors, Airbnb and Amia, our gold sponsors, TELUS, RBC, Gluskin Chef, Scout Logistics, Goodman's, Effort Trust, Canadian Centre for Aging and Brain Health Innovation, Sidley, Ontario Brain Institute, and the Association of Directors for Adult Social Services. Our media partners, National Post and St. Joseph Communications. And very, very, really heartfelt special thanks to the people who helped us form these challenge sets. The Alzheimer's Society of Canada, of Ontario, and of Toronto. Baycrest, Mount Sinai Hospital. Am I pronouncing that right? Is it Sinai? Mount Sinai Hospital. The Heart and Stroke Foundation, the University of Waterloo, the University of Toronto. Thank you. A couple of quick notes. So Facebook Creative Shop is here. I'm not sure if you guys knew this, but Facebook is perhaps the most popular company on the planet. This means that the people who design for Facebook are probably the world's best designers, hands down, and they want to help you. They're sitting right over there, and they want to help you with your wireframes. They want to help you perfect your pitch. These are creative strategists that I really don't think us normal people have access to in any other venue than DementiaHack. So please make use of that. If you don't, I will. I won't. I'm not participating. Sorry. We have a photo booth. Object stories. We requested that you bring meaningful objects and items so that you can take some photos over there. Dementia takes our memories away. Well, let's take some back. Take some photos. Mentors will be wandering around roughly in 20 odd minutes. They're all wearing blue wristbands, but they're also wearing wristbands that indicate which challenge set that they can speak intelligently to. So for the diagnosed individuals, they're wearing white wristbands. For family caregivers, they're wearing yellow. Institutional caregivers and clinicians are wearing purple, and the scientician/researcher mentors are wearing orange. We serve food every 4 to 5 hours. You will never go hungry at this event. And we spike your carbohydrates so that you've got that glycogen so you can think clearly and destroy your projects in the good way. If you have IT certificate problems, and really, there is a party happening in the cafeteria after I finish talking, because that's where people who have any Windows 7 or Linux IT security certificate issues are going to meet, and so will our IT technicians. That is where we are going to do some team matching for anybody who does not have a team. Hackathons are really, really boring alone. If you do not have a team, please come join us in the cafeteria. We'll make sure you have a team. Our science fair judging that's happening tomorrow is a little bit complicated. I'll explain that some other time because I'm sure you guys want to start hacking. So I'll end really quickly on this note. I agree with Phyllis. You build for the person, not for the prize, and you will always win. Thank you so much for being here. Oh yeah, the hackathon started 7 minutes ago. Get cracking.